Joan Murray, was 47 years old and had been skydiving for years. By September 1999, she had completed 35 jumps. She was not a beginner, she was not reckless, she knew what she was doing. On this particular jump, she exited the plane at 14,500 feet above the ground, a standard altitude for recreational skydiving. The freefall felt normal. When the time came, she reached up and pulled the cord for her main parachute. It didn't open. She pulled again. Nothing. The chute had failed to deploy. Joan was still in freefall, the ground coming up beneath her at terminal velocity. She moved to her backup plan immediately, reaching for the reserve parachute, the one every skydiver carries, for exactly this reason. The reserve opened. For a fraction of a second, it must have felt like a reprieve. Then she started spinning. The rotation was fast and uncontrolled, and as she spun, the suspension lines twisted around each other and locked. The reserve chute collapsed. Both parachutes had now failed. Joan Murray hit the ground at approximately 80 miles per hour. There is almost no medical literature describing someone surviving that. A human body impacting the earth at 80 mph sustains injuries that are, in nearly every documented case, fatal on impact or within minutes of it. Joan's entire right side was destroyed, bones shattered, organs damaged, body trauma so extensive that the surgical team that received her would spend weeks trying to hold her together. 20 separate operations, 17 blood transfusions. The medical team kept her alive through sheer sustained effort over days and weeks. But here is the part that none of the surgeons had anticipated, and the part that likely explains why she survived long enough to reach them at all. Joan had landed directly on top of a fire ant mound. The impact destroyed the colony's structure. Hundreds of ants swarmed out and, finding a large warm body on top of their home, began stinging. Joan was stung more than 200 times in the immediate aftermath of the impact. Fire ant venom contains a compound called solenopsin. When introduced to the nervous system in large quantities, it acts as a powerful stimulant. The medical community's best explanation for what happened next is that the volume of venom injected into Joan's body in those minutes provided enough stimulation to keep her cardiovascular system functioning until paramedics could reach her. Her heart kept beating when it had no physiological reason to. Investigators later examined the field where she landed. There was only one fire ant mound in that area. Joan had landed on it within an error margin of feet. She spent 2 weeks in a medically induced coma. When she came out of it, she began recovering. The surgeries continued, the rehabilitation was long, and the process was painful, but every system in her body came back online. 2 years after the accident, Joan Murray went skydiving again. Anna Bogenholm on May 20, 1999. Anna Bogenholm was 29 years old, a junior doctor from Sweden, spending her day off skiing with 2 friends near Narvik in northern Norway. The conditions were good. She was an experienced skier on a familiar mountain. She caught an edge and fell forward, sliding fast down the slope. At the base of the run, there was a frozen stream. She hit it head first and broke through the ice. Her body went into the water. She couldn't get back out. The ice had closed around her, trapping her in the stream with her upper body submerged and her skis still above the surface. Her 2 friends heard the noise and got to her immediately, grabbing her skis and trying to pull her free. The ice was too thick and the angle was wrong. She wouldn't come loose. They called for emergency rescue and stayed with her, holding her skis, keeping her from sliding further under. Anna found an air pocket beneath the ice, a small gap between the water surface and the ice sheet above her. She pressed her face into it and kept breathing. She held that position for close to 40 minutes. Then her body shut down. The cold water had been progressively dropping her core temperature since the moment she went in. The human body begins to experience serious physiological dysfunction when core temperature drops below 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Cardiac arrest typically follows between 86 and 82 degrees. By the time the rescue team cut through the ice and pulled Anna free, she had been submerged for 80 minutes. Her body temperature was measured at 56.7 degrees Fahrenheit. That number does not appear anywhere else in the medical literature for a patient who survived. It is the lowest recorded core body temperature ever documented in a human being who lived. She had no pulse. She was not breathing. She showed no brain activity. The rescue team began CPR on the mountain and did not stop. They transported her to Tromsø University Hospital, still performing CPR continuously the entire journey. At the hospital, the medical team faced a decision. A core temperature of 56.7 degrees means the heart muscle itself is too cold to respond to standard defibrillation. The only way to restart a heart in those conditions is to warm the blood directly. This requires a heart-lung bypass machine, a device that draws blood out of the body, warms it externally, and pumps it back in. More than 100 medical personnel worked in rotating shifts over 9 hours. The bypass machine slowly raised her blood temperature degree by degree, and somewhere in that process, Anna Bogenholm's heart started beating again. Here is what made the difference between Anna coming back whole and Anna coming back with catastrophic brain damage or not coming back at all. When the human body is submerged in water near freezing temperatures, the core temperature can drop fast enough that the brain's metabolic rate, the rate at which brain cells consume oxygen and die without it, slows dramatically before circulation stops. Anna's brain had cooled so quickly that by the time her heart stopped, her neurons were consuming almost no oxygen at all. They were in a state of suspended function rather than active death. The ice that killed her also preserved her. Anna was discharged from the hospital with no brain damage. She returned to medicine. She now works as a radiologist at the same hospital in Tromsø that saved her life, the place that, on that shift in May 1999, effectively brought a dead woman back from the other side of whatever line separates alive from gone.